We are 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM, KKJZ HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and now, our World Broadcasting Tag Team Champions of the World and our Cruiserweight Champion.
I'm Ethan.
I'm James.
I'm Rob.
And this is episode 135 of Beyond the Ropes. We are BTR Pro Wrestling Talk. You can follow us on Twitter at RealBTR Radio. You can follow me at EthanMB95. You can follow James at
JHW Reporter.
And you can follow Rob at
Rob Flores Media.
There you go. A lot to discuss in this episode. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about the big news coming out of this week. Perhaps the biggest news. Seth Rollins is he's got a lot of drip. Did you see on Twitter? He's got a lot of drip going on. No. Come on now.
Oh, something about drip. I saw Sonya Deville with this video about suits, and then Seth Rollins was in that. It was an ugly suit. I hope that's not the drip he was talking about.
Sir, that's called fashion. Come on now.
Did you see the suit?
I saw the suit. I've seen multiple suits he's worn. He's now said dripping Rollins.
This suit was some messy camouflage. It was a no for me,
great.
Sir.
He pulled off a turtleneck last week, I believe. I'm gonna start wearing turtlenecks under my outfit. So
I mean, you do you, playa, but not that suit. If my first impression of Seth Rollins is that suit, it's not happening.
Sir.
Not even a mid-carder. Nope.
Oh, dear God. Well, we're going to talk about Seth Rollins.
For all I care, wearing a suit like that.
You're just hating. You're hating because you can't rock a Seth Rollins suit.
I couldn't, and I wouldn't.
All right. Nope. Well, we'll talk more about Seth in a little bit. Of course, his opponent.
I'd have to lose a serious bet to wear something like that.
His opponent this past last Sunday at Fastlane, which was Shinsuke Nakamura. See, I'm rocking the hat here. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Let's talk about there was a major release. Some would say a major release last week. Andrade. It was reported now 2 weeks ago that Andrade had requested his release from the WWE after being unhappy, not being used for several months now, and he got it. It happened Sunday night on Fastlane, right after it was announced that Andrade had gotten his release. He tweeted out that morning, I believe, that he was very happy and he got some good news. And of course, they made the announcement later that night. He thanked William Regal and Triple H for the opportunity. So interesting that he thanked only them two for that opportunity. Of course, his run in NXT, where he was an NXT champion, and they kind of used him well. Not as much on main roster there on Raw, but it's a shame. And now a lot of people were pretty disappointed to see his most recent run. Of course, when Zelina Vega kind of got released, it was basically downhill for Andrade. They really didn't use him very much after that. And I mean, there was just nothing for him, according to some higher-ups that didn't really see much in him. And so he's a free agent now.
Well, when you think about it, it was under Heyman that right after Heyman left is when that whole thing kind of went downhill, did it not?
Yeah, it was pretty much Heyman.
I'm kind of surprised he didn't.
It was Heyman giving him that push.
Go ahead. Right. So I thought maybe he would at least thank Heyman there, maybe, but it is what it is. I mean. One thing that of note for me from that was Aleister Black had a pretty nice message on there for Andrade. Obviously, Andrade, again, working with Zelina Vega, who's married to Aleister Black. Aleister Black in a situation as well. Someone, whether or not I guess he may have asked for his release the same way Andrade did. But they're holding on to Aleister Black. They didn't have any problem letting go of Andrade, which then, coincidence or not, brought forward the whole thing with Charlotte Flair. And I guess she was taking off some WrestleMania posters and stuff like that. And people were thinking maybe she was on the way out, but comes to find out she came down with COVID. We could talk a little bit more about that, but we can stay with Andrade if you had anything else.
Yeah, in terms of the Aleister Black situation, obviously you mentioned Zelina Vega being Andrade's manager basically throughout most of his WWE career. He was a former United States champion. And so, I mean, he had a good run with that title. He had it maybe twice. I think he lost it and then he won it back, if I'm not mistaken. But he did have a good run. And as we mentioned, as James mentioned, after Heyman kind of lost control, it was basically downhill for Andrade and that whole group. In terms of Charlotte Flair, yes, she did come down with COVID. It was speculated that Charlotte was unhappy with the fact that WWE wasn't letting Andrade go and that she threatened, to walk, or, she agreed to quote unquote miss WrestleMania. Apparently that was kind of a couple of stories going around. But no, she cleared it up this past Monday, saying she has been out because of COVID-19. And I know Andrade posted, by the time this airs, we'll probably know a little bit more about the situation, but he had posted that she only needed 4 more days or something to potentially get cleared. I don't know. But we'll talk about a match that she was also supposed to be in, or rumored to be in, which she got replaced. But go ahead.
Before we get to that, though, just to finish up with Andrade real quick, sorry to interrupt you, but from what I heard, and maybe I missed it if you mentioned it, but I think there isn't a 90-day on Andrade.
There's conflicting reports.
Okay.
So I don't know what's true or not, especially with the Charlotte Flair stuff. I don't want to rush into it, but I heard conflicting reports. Some are saying yes, he still has 90 days. Some are saying no. Maybe there's nothing. I mean, if we see him on TV, I don't think AEW's the place he's going to be going to if he goes anywhere right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. And I just think, though, too, anyway, it just, not to stay too long on Andrade, but I mean, what is AEW? They add another, WWE guy. I mean, what is that doing for the opportunities for the guys on the AEW roster who were originally there from the start? And what would he really be doing? Like, what could they? I mean, could he have great matches there? Sure, but we'll see. I don't think Charlotte's going anywhere, though. That's for sure.
No,
she may be delayed for now.
Charlotte's the biggest star right now in the women's division. So all right, let's move on to some Hall of Fame news. We didn't get to talk about, I don't think we did, because this happened after we recorded last week, or a week and a half ago now. Eric Bischoff was announced going into the WWE Hall of Fame. That's huge. I guess we'll mention the other names too, because there was a few more named. Kane, that's right. Kane has been officially announced to go into this year's class into the WWE Hall of Fame as well. And also reported by WWE India, the legendary, the iconic, perhaps the greatest giant of all time, the Great Khali is going into the Hall of Fame this year. To James, you seemed a little phased there.
He was in The Longest Yard, I believe. An accomplished actor and not world champion, right?
He was a world champion. He was
a world champion. Okay. Was that the one? Didn't he beat the Undertaker? Or I think he had a feud with the Undertaker. I don't know if that was for the title.
I don't know if he beat the Undertaker or if he won. Was it a Battle Royal? Was it the Battle Royal that he won? I don't know. He won the title for like a month. He had it for like a month.
Yeah, it wasn't a long run, if anything. Does he deserve to go in? Sure. Going back to Kane though. Kane, when I saw that news this morning, I thought it was very fitting. I well deserved. very nice to see that again announced on the bump, much like they did with Molly Holly. They had the Undertaker on there, obviously. If there's someone you want closer to Kane in throughout his career to kind of deliver that news, then I mean, who better than the Undertaker? But maybe is that a little teaser for maybe an introduction or something? Obviously the Hall of Fame is a little bit different this year from, I mean, no matter how they try to handle it, but Undertaker really hasn't done a lot of Hall of Fame stuff. And obviously Paul Bear is no longer here with us, so I don't know what they do as far as an induction, but again, very fitting. But I think they should have waited on Kane. Again, considering all the other people who were in or going in from last year's class, we could talk a little bit more about someone who maybe held off a year. But I thought Kane maybe could have been held off a year. I think he's a headliner. I would think he's a headliner. I don't know if they would make him a headliner, but I would almost think they would, especially if like the Undertaker was the inductee or the inductor or whatever. Kane had a great career, so well deserved. I hope it doesn't just get brushed under the rug. I mean, that's one you want to have in front of people for sure. So curious to see how the whole Hall of Fame thing shakes out as it is.
Absolutely. I think Kane has definitely had a Hall of Fame, headlining Hall of Fame worthy career. Especially
with a hell of a career.
That too. But you mentioned someone who's not going to be in the Hall of Fame. Batista announced via Twitter, via social media, that by his request, he's going to be sitting out the Hall of Fame induction ceremony this year. And WWE has given the green light that they will induct them in another year. Rumors were speculating that, well, yes, the fact that there is an audience there and they want, Batista, who's another headline inductee, they want a crowd there for that. But there's also kind of, I think, news going on that he's maybe filming something and it's conflicting with that schedule, so he wouldn't be able to make it anyways. So, which wouldn't be surprising. The Guardians of the Galaxy star, I believe, would be filming for the next Thor movie, I believe, which he's scheduled for. So, so Batista's going to sit out this year, which is fine because I think they have quite a few big names already going in this year. Especially when you bring in Kane. Say what you want about Great Khali, but he's brought in an audience from India.
For sure.
And of course, Molly Holly, who's well respected in the business as well. And who knows who else is going to go in for sure. So, so that's a little Hall of Fame update there. Of course, Eric Bischoff is there too.
Eric Bischoff is going in, well deserved. You can kind of say what you will about that, but you got to give the man credit. Obviously, he was on the other side with WCW and Monday Night Nitro and the Monday Night Wars.
NWO's going in, so.
NWO is going in. I mean, it's only fitting. I mean, a lot of people could have said if there was one more person on the NWO side that maybe could have went in, Eric Bischoff could have been a good one to go in for that. But I think alone, Eric Bischoff and his career in WWE stands out as Hall of Fame worthy, as one of the better GMs, someone who can kind of come in. He came in right away. Didn't have to happen. He didn't even need to come in. He could have, been set for life with whatever he was already doing after WCW. But to kind of come in, kind of put everything personal or whatever you want or career-wise aside from the past and just, kind of go out there and work with the other side and to see it play out perfectly the way that it did. I think it worked well for both sides and well deserving for Eric Bischoff. Obviously, he's been making some appearances on AEW, so maybe they're kind of maybe nipping that in the butt a little bit, but we'll see. Well deserved. I'll have to listen to his podcast. Haven't listened to it a whole lot recently, but just to kind of see what he says and stuff. Obviously, they made it clear there was no bad blood, I guess, when he was kind of moved out of his position, I guess, really before did he really even get started? I think he kind of did, right? Like or was he even out? Like, because I know he got hired and there was like a little bit of a waiting process, right? It didn't happen right away.
he was basically a non-factor from what I heard. So
Yeah, I think even from the jump, right?
yeah, he was just kind of observing everything that was going on, and he really didn't do a whole lot before they replaced him with Bruce Pritchard. So I mean, it wasn't a lot. He was there less than Heyman was.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it didn't work out, but
Yeah.
it's good to see Bischoff is back in the WWE fold. Maybe we'll see him in another capacity at some point.
And just to kind of to wrap up, the Hall of Fame stuff before we get into a break here, word is going around. RVD might be someone going in. There's been some rumors on the interwebs about it, but nothing official from what I've seen. So, thoughts on RVD? You think he's someone who is deserving of going in? Do you think we see him this year?
Sure. Do we get to see Katie Forbes twerk at the Hall of Fame induction?
Is that the white girl? I don't know. I don't know if they'll let her up there. And I don't think so.
You don't remember that iconic gif of her twerking on was it Eddie Edwards or something on TNA while he was beating him up?
I only watch WWE. I only watch wholesome
content. Oh, we're gonna talk wholesome WWE content after the break because apparently Peacock, they only want wholesome WWE content. I was just watching something before we were recording, so we got to get into that. We might need a VPN.
So are you
to
on
watch
the Peacock?
Star Wars. No, I'm not on the Peacock. Not yet.
You're not on the Peacock app yet. Okay. Because I've it's on my to-do list. Haven't done it yet. I watched Fastlane. We'll get into Fastlane a little bit later. Watched that on the WWE network or whatever. I just updated my app in the App Store, and it's now just called WWE, which I was like, oh, like this is really happening. So we'll see how this all plays out. Is like the bump and stuff going to be on the WWE app still? Or
I know that's a YouTube thing. Maybe they might put in some YouTube stuff on the app. I don't know. Because before the network, the WWE app was like for the website and stuff before the network and everything. So I could see them just posting like YouTube stuff and social media stuff on there.
Because they're going to have to do something to keep that app still kind of relevant,
For sure. So when we return, we're going to talk more about the Peacock situation and the WWE Network. We'll talk about WWE Fastlane and the aftermath, including some WrestleMania matches that have been made since then, as well as WrestleMania itself, because it's looking to be a packed 2-night event, a packed week, honestly, because every day there's going to be something new, something different from Raw, NXT, SmackDown, Hall of Fame, and of course the 2-night WrestleMania event. So as we're wrapping up here before we go to commercial break, are we ready to go, Rob? Are we good? Mr. Timekeeper? I haven't called you that in a while. All right, when we return, we'll talk more WWE and WrestleMania right here on Beyond the Ropes. We are 22West Radio. 22West Radio is 22westmedia.com and 88.1 FM KKJZ HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles. Welcome back to episode 135 of Beyond the Ropes. We are BTR Pro Wrestling Talk right here on 22West Radio, 22westmedia.com. And of course, we are doing this virtually. So thank you for tuning in. We're staying safe at home. And you can follow me on Twitter at EthanM95. You can follow James at
JHW Reporter.
And you can follow Rob at
Rob Flores Media.
And of course, Facebook.com/Beyond the Ropes. You find every episode uploaded there. I got a reminder as we're recording this a couple days ago. We have basically done 90 episodes on the station already. This is our 90th episode, the last 2 years now. So really cool. We've done a lot and hopefully many more.
Does this mean I get a raise now?
Are you getting paid? I didn't realize.
You aren't you guys? Oh, never mind.
Oh, I've got to make a few phone calls to the studio.
You might have to. Mine's been coming in the mail. I don't know.
I'm just gonna exit this Zoom meeting. I'll talk to you guys later. But speaking of some issues, some potential issues we're running into, there's a little potential censoring issue. According to some Peacock subscribers, the WWE Network kind of made its debut on Peacock over Fastlane weekend, where subscribers essentially were able to move over, and I believe they're doing like a bundle deal or a good deal where you're paying like $2.99 a month for the first couple of months or something, which is really good. But some subscribers have apparently noticed some things have been cut out from some classic shows. I believe the Roddy Piper Bad News Braun promo was completely cut from WrestleMania. What is that, 6? I don't think the match was, but I think the promo was, where it featured Piper kind of doing the half, I guess it was blackface situation.
Yeah. It was like almost like Black Body, right? Wasn't the whole
half his body was covered in black paint, yeah.
But didn't he do that during the match too, or no? Like he had it during the match, right?
It was during the match, but they cut it out. I mean, I guess they just didn't want to cut out the whole match, so they just cut out the promo.
Right.
And another segment that was cut was from SummerSlam, I believe 2005. Vince McMahon backstage, the Vince McMahon and Booker T segment, which makes his way around the internet every once in a while. You'll see.
What wasn't that the one with Cena? It was with Cena. It
was with Cena, but then he walked by Booker T after, and Booker's like, "Tell me I didn't just say that." It's basically Vince saying the N-word on national television. That was only 16 years ago. So there's some stuff that definitely should not be really promoted or used these days, but at the same time, it's sort of like you're erasing history in a sense.
Well, right, because I mean, in a way, that's kind of what, I mean, not saying that's good, not saying that it's bad or whatever, but I mean, just kind of like with anything else, I mean, you can apply the same thing to American history, I guess. Some of that stuff is kind of what helped get us to where we are. Again, not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, whatever, but I mean, we don't cut out American history with that kind of stuff, I mean, so who knows? What are they gonna do with the Chris Benoit stuff? What are they gonna do with whatever? There's tons of things they can do. I'm more curious to know, did WWE know this going in? What say do they still have on maybe keeping some stuff in? I know $1 million or $1 billion deal would probably change my mind as well, and to cut whatever you want, but I don't know. It's gonna be a wait and see thing.
This would explain why I guess it's gonna take until at least SummerSlam, they said, for everything to transfer over. I mean, at this point, do we even think everything is gonna be really transferred over? Because they could just be cutting out some classic. I mean, are they gonna, if they're cutting this stuff out, how much of ECW content are they really gonna have on the Peacock service?
Right.
Like,
but see, but that's the thing though. But that's what you paid for. Is you paid.
I know.
I mean, you can find the new stuff. You can watch it. A lot of people don't like the new stuff. You know what I mean? They get the network for the sole reason of reliving the old stuff. And if you're cutting that, then what do you have? What are you doing?
Right. So save your DVDs. I still got my DVDs.
Yeah, no, that's true. A lot of the tape collectors and stuff, they have their DVDs still. I know there's some that on YouTube they still have a lot of their tapes and
the store
the
store I work at, we're always getting in wrestling DVDs. We got some yesterday. So yeah, and I see people buying them. So I mean, smart on their behalf. And some of those DVDs are worth money. I'm pricing them, and then some of them are worth a little bit. So I believe like there was a TNA DVD from 2010, Slammiversary 2010, that was going for $90, which is insane.
Excuse me?
$90
$90
for TNA Slammiversary 2010.
Like $10 short of 100.
Correct. $90.
Was it?
That's how much it scanned for. Look it up online on Amazon.
Was it an accident?
No, look it up on Amazon. It's going for more than that. It's some of those DVDs are worth something. So,
TNA?
Yeah. TNA. Sting was on the cover. That's all I know. I didn't look at the card. Sting was on the cover.
It must have been his debut or something.
No, it was 10 years ago. It might have been Sting versus Kurt Angle or Jeff Hardy, one of those. No, that wasn't the famous Hardy match.
They probably only made $90 on at the gate.
So
they probably made less than because it's free.
2010 was probably their peak, honestly. That's when Hogan arrived, and so.
You think they were paying people to get in? Because I know it was at Universal. Well, whether or not it was at Universal at the time, or where it was? Universal or something?
So yes, actually, when I went to Universal a couple of years ago in Florida, they were actually taping a show that day when we were there. They were giving away tickets inside Universal.
Yeah, you go in for free, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but it was for free. I couldn't go, but yeah, that was they gave away tickets because they just need people to show up. But yeah, apparently TNA DVDs are worth something. You
couldn't go because it was a packed house?
No, I couldn't go
fighting at the door to get in.
I had other plans. Believe me, I wanted to go, and this was like rough. This was a couple of years ago when TNA was completely like. At least now they have a little more buzz because of AEW, but this was a couple of years ago when everyone left, and
so they were down bad. Okay,
they were probably at their lowest at this time. So,
okay.
But anyways, getting back to the Peacock situation, are we gonna have to get a VPN now for us American to watch some network stuff? Uncensored.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I mean, as long as they kind of keep some of those documentaries and stuff on there, then that's good with me because I enjoy the documentary stuff. You know, the Table for Three and stuff like that. So
those are good.
Just keep that stuff on there. That's what I need. I need the Broken Skull stuff. You know, I need the podcast. I need that. That's the stuff I have the network for. That if you keep that kind of original content on there, that's good with me. I could care less about the ECW stuff. So
I saw the Bailey Broken Skull Sessions episode the other day. Very insightful episode.
I haven't watched them yet, but I know there's a Randy Orton one out too because I know Randy Orton said, "Why am I not on the podcast?" Stone Cold told him to hold on. Of course, the next episode, Randy Orton and Stone Cold, and I don't know if I've really ever seen those two interact or be in the ring before. So that sounds like it'd be a fun conversation.
It aired after Fastlane, and speaking of Fastlane, let's get into it right now. The kickoff show featured the United States Championship being defended by Riddle taking on Mustafa Ali. So it was a fun little match on the kickoff show. Just quick results here. Matt Riddle, or Riddle now, retained the U.S. title, and after the fact, something interesting. Looks like the Retribution may be done with. Because they walked out on their leader, Mustafa Ali, after he was, verbally assaulting or abusing them for weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
And they walked out. We didn't get an update on Raw, but maybe we'll see something in the next couple of weeks. I hope they take their masks off.
Something. I don't know. I mean, maybe it was a sign of just what was to come when Mia lost her mask on that first match he had.
Yeah.
In a matter of a minute or so. So I don't know. I was thinking about that earlier today, though. I mean, it was just there was so much potential there, and they just didn't do anything with the storyline. I mean, they probably the number of matches that they won, you could probably count on one hand. So
yeah, the ball was kind of dropped. Next up, we had the Women's Tag Team Championship on the main card. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler took on Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. Quickly, we did give predictions, right?
I got them all right.
I don't think you did, sir. I don't think you did. So I'm going to go to the BTR Twitter account, which is at RealBTR Radio. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Make sure you follow. Everyone go follow.
Make sure you go follow that.
If you saw a wrong prediction under my name, no, you didn't.
All right, so
And,
let's.
and Rob said my worst prediction, his worst set of predictions ever. Okay, well, I couldn't have done that bad, so
Don't worry,
I'll do that one.
WrestleMania's coming up. You're gonna lose that one even worse. It's fine.
I'm gonna get him all right.
So you and I had Riddle to retain, James, but Rob went for Mustafa Ali. So you were wrong there. But over on the tag team side, Rob, you were also wrong, and James and I were right here. The tag team champions retained.
Hit Sasha, right? Yeah.
Because Sasha, I mean, she's so selfish. I mean, what would you expect? She's a very selfish individual. She only cares about herself. I think Corey Graves has been right about her all along. She only wants spotlight on herself. And she showed her true colors when she slapped Bianca Belair after the match. So I hope Bianca Belair,
to me, that's when that
takes her down.
That's when the feud got interesting. That's when the feud got interesting to me. That's where it gets real, because not only was it a slap, but there was no retaliation. There was, she was shook, more or less. I mean, they're I think she even fell to a knee. I mean, whether or not she was actually selling it or they talked about. Well, I don't know if that was a sell though. I think that was a just hit me with your best shot. Let's make this a really good feud kind of deal, like a combo right before the match happens, and she just goes for it, and she took a knee. She was down. She was shook. She played it up well, looking at the sign. So
did you read her lips?
I
think she used some language.
I was gonna say I don't think we could repeat it anyway, even if I did.
That's great.
But it was good. But the slap was good. I am curious though what they're doing with Shayna and Nia though, because they're still the champions. What are they? Who knows? I don't know what they're doing there.
They're gonna defend those titles.
It sounds like they have. It looks like they have an issue though too. Like there's some tension there, maybe starting up.
I think they kind of got over it. Potentially. Actually, Raw didn't. I don't think had the results they wanted.
Do we want a Nia Shayna feud?
Sure.
Really, no.
After Mania, maybe.
If Shayna can tie her up into a pretzel or something, sure.
Look, I'm just into this Nia Reginald kind of storyline going on here. I'm into it.
Yeah, the original thing. He's all over the place. That one's confusing. I don't get it.
He's great.
I don't know. He's all over the place. Where's Carmella? I don't.
They're done with her. He's done with her.
Really?
She fired him.
Oh.
She fired him. So he's now with Nia Jax. So
yeah, he was doing backflips and stuff, right?
Yeah, making a big entrance.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the Intercontinental Championship match. Rob, you and I got this wrong. Boy, Rob, you're just failing every prediction in this one, huh? But I too got it wrong.
I'm all right, like I said.
You got it right so far. You predicted Big E would retain, and the sneaky boy that he is, he got the victory over Apollo in a roll-up. Very sneaky victory. I don't know. That referee was questionable. A questionable call, but it was a brutal showing.
Are you blaming the ref on that one? I don't know. The finish.
I didn't see the shoulders down.
I was kind of I kind of looked away. I don't know. Part of me is I don't know if it would have been different with the crowd there, because I don't know. There was no reaction after. It looked very odd there. I don't know. It
was a bit of an awkward finish. Obviously they wanted to keep Apollo looking good so they can continue this feud, because after the match he did attack Big E and was standing tall. Mm-hmm. So obviously they're going to do something, either if they haven't already on SmackDown, in the next couple of SmackDowns, or they're going to do something at Mania. Mm-hmm. But I mean, should he be losing with that gimmick? You're slapping him with the new gimmick, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, should he be? It was a roll-up.
Isn't that not his maybe first, second match? Yeah, but if you got a new gimmick, you don't lose. I mean, Apollo is an athlete and someone, he looked like he was getting jobbed out the first half the match.
Well, you gotta show.
All of a sudden he gets a rally, and then
you gotta show the Big E.
I mean,
of course.
I get it, but
it was a fine match.
I just don't like when they start new gimmicks in the first match. You can't lose one of your first big matches as a new gimmick.
I think Retribution did.
Well, yeah.
So Apollo's fine. He stood tall. he got the last laugh, I guess. But we're going to continue, obviously, this feud. And the next match happened between, it was supposed to be Shane McMahon versus Braun Strowman. And I mean, tragedy struck earlier in the day when Shane McMahon was training, and he did this pump knee and he injured his knee, and it was scary. It was a scary sight. But don't worry, he got a replacement. Elias came and made the save, but didn't work so well for him. Didn't work so well. Braun Strowman kind of decimated Elias. But we'll talk more about Shane and Strowman after this break, because they're kind of their ongoing story continued on Monday Night Raw. But I mean, we're sending our well wishes to Shane McMahon, who I hope his knee. I mean, I think we saw Monday. We did see on Monday that there was a miracle. I think because our thoughts and prayers were happening Sunday night, so a miracle happened.
Thoughts and prayers are working. Him being in the same building as Seth Rollins probably helped too, right?
I mean, Seth might have been passing on that drip to Shane. I don't know. Seth has that drip. So, but let's talk about Seth Rollins and Shinsuke having, a phenomenal match, of course. But first, we're gonna hit a quick commercial break because we gotta talk more about Shinsuke and Seth.
We gotta send more thoughts and prayers to Shane McMahon. We'll be back after the break. You're listening to BTR.
We are 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM KKJZ HD3 Long Beach, Los Angeles. Welcome back to episode 135 of Beyond the Ropes. We are BTR Pro Wrestling Talk. We are doing this via Zoom, virtually staying socially distant from each other. Of course, we are talking WWE Fastlane. We were in the middle of talking about our great leader, Seth Rollins, taking on the King of Strong Style, Shinsuke Nakamura. And let's talk.
Shinsuke as my leader.
Shinsuke's great. He's our king. He is our king. He is our King of Strong Style, James. Okay. But let's talk about how Rob once again. Rob fumbled another prediction. He left. He's embarrassed, as he should be. He should be embarrassed because he predicted against our great leader Seth Rollins, and even you had the right mind. Even though I know you're a non-believer, you had the right mind to pick Seth Rollins to win this match.
So I've been right so far. So let's get it clear first of all. So I've had them all right, and Rob has had them all wrong. Is this fact?
Correct. You're not wrong. Yeah. You're not wrong here.
He said to be fair, he did say this was going to be his worst showing, and
I didn't believe you at first, but you're right. You're right. Rob, you should be embarrassed. You went against our great leader. Let's talk about Seth Rollins, his wonderful match, pulled off a few new moves against Shinsuke. But yeah, Seth Rollins hit that stomp to get the victory, because you don't embarrass our great leader, Seth Rollins, like Shinsuke was trying to do. Cesaro learned that lesson a few weeks ago, and now Shinsuke learned that lesson. So hoping for big matches coming up at WrestleMania. Seth Rollins could be in the main event of night 1 or night 2 or something. I mean, come on. Why not? Put him in the main event. All right.
What are we going to get? Are we going to get a Seth and Cesaro or something? Is that?
I think that's the plan.
Where we're going, or?
That's the plan. It looks like.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I'm all for it. I mean, I wish they had Shinsuke involved in something, but I don't know if he's gonna have a match. Because he was basically kind of this stepping stone, but he was just kind of involved in the story for Cesaro and Seth, it looks like. So hopefully maybe they have him involved in something. But next up, we did have a absolute brutal match between Drew McIntyre and Sheamus, which was a no-holds-barred match. And boy, did they have some explosions, more explosions than the barbed wire explosion match over an AEW Revolution. Because they actually went through the Thunderdome and sparks flew. Drew McIntyre sporting his Braveheart look. And this was a hard-hitting match. You know, like the Braveheart look? Are they going to cut this from Peacock? 20 years from now? Are they
I
gonna...
mean, no, but I mean, they'll make an action figure out of it. It'll be on there, but we'll see what they.
What Rob got in his mouth? What's going on here?
Rob, what are you doing, sir? You're on YouTube.
It's vitamins, sir. Put those vitamins away. I know. We gotta talk about Hulk Hogan. We already talked about Hulk Hogan and Titus last week, so I'm glad you're taking your vitamins.
I mean, he's taking his vitamins, maybe getting ready for a WrestleMania match.
Yeah. I know you said your prayers for Shane.
I mean,
so.
I was about to say the exact same thing. We've already got the prayers down. We already got the vitamins. What are we missing? Say your prayers, eat your vitamins, and drink your milk or something.
I don't know. I always thought it was eat your vegetables, but I think that's something else.
Maybe Shane shuffled to the hospital.
It may be.
We'll say that for another. We'll do that for another episode.
So yeah, James, you got this wrong, sir. You were wrong.
No, not so loud. Hey, you don't gotta be all loud.
Don't worry, Rob. Even you out. He got one right. Right? What? Yeah. You got Drew right. You guessed Drew McIntyre. I guessed Drew McIntyre. Of course I did, because I'm not gonna bet against the Scottish Warrior. Come on now. But James, you predicted Sheamus was gonna win here, and he lost. Yeah, he
lost.
Why would you do that? I don't know, but it's on Twitter, so that means it's real. Because everything on the internet is true.
I probably did because I thought, one, Drew McIntyre losing every match now, and then if Drew McIntyre's, doesn't have the title anymore, he can afford to maybe take a loss. So
he lost one match.
he lost the title twice. I mean, still.
That's two matches he lost in the last year, I think.
To be fair, I mean, he's gonna be in the title match. So again, why did I not pick him? Anyway,
well, Sheamus has got something, I think, in store for him at Mania. We'll talk about that in a bit. But we had Alexa Bliss take on Randy Orton. And I'm terrified of Alexa Bliss. She scares me. She's got flames coming out of her arms. She's doing these crazy things to poor Randy Orton. He's coughing up black stuff. I don't know what that black stuff is. And then we could see the resurrection of a very scary Fiend. Rob, did you not see these images? They were terrifying. I'm scared.
So for me though, I thought it was good that they follow through with the Fiend having gone through some stuff and being away for a while. Things they didn't do with Randy Orton. I'm still confused about the Randy Orton thing. Didn't he get burned? Wasn't he burned for a week or two and then they just forgot?
Well, it was a mild burn.
I don't know. He's kind of mild burn. His face was all over the place. I don't know.
They got some good cream.
But so for me,
they got that cream from China that Kramer used on Seinfeld.
Yeah, but they didn't. Well, they didn't give it the Fiend. That's for sure. Or maybe he's allergic. I don't know. Yeah, I know we kind of knew the Fiend was probably gonna have to come back here. It looks scary, as you said, Ethan. The music, I don't get the music. The music choice, the themes, whatever. The entrance song is weird. It was what it was. It was a good cinematic match. We're probably gonna get the same thing at WrestleMania between the Fiend and, well, I don't know how they're gonna pull it off with people in the crowd.
They're not. We're gonna talk about that right now. But quickly, because in case we don't run out of time, we all predicted Alexa would win, and she did get the cover on Randy Orton after her sister Abigail. So good for Alexa Bliss. Poor Randy Orton had to put over the young upcoming talent.
The young upcoming, well, I was a babyface, but she's not a babyface. But some quick notes that I did see on the Instagrams. Her first singles match since 2019 Stomping Grounds, which was against Bayley. Her first singles win, at least on pay-per-view, anyways. Since 2018 at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, and that was against Nia Jax. So if you think of way back to that Nia Jax Alexa Bliss feud, 2018. Right. So
all right, and then
a big win for Alexa Bliss.
Let's talk about the main event. Let's talk about our tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Let's talk about our head of the table, Roman Reigns. Let's talk about
Mhm.
the ratings draw, Roman Reigns. The main event where he belongs. You were saying, oh, Roman Reigns wasn't the main event, a couple weeks ago or whatever. He was,
He wasn't when he had a 20-second match with the
the
same
main
guy.
the main event is whatever Roman Reigns, whatever match he is in. Okay, doesn't matter what slot is. It's whenever he's in a match. Okay, that's the main event. Of course, he successfully defended the Universal Championship, even with Edge getting involved.
I don't know.
The odds were
That's
stacked. The odds were stacked against Roman Reigns here, and in a great technical, he out technicianed the technician Daniel Bryan. He was pulling off all the stops here. Roman Reigns, he got the victory.
Wasn't your tribal chief tapping out to Daniel Bryan like he was making a fast decision or something? Like he was giving a ruling on something?
I think there was an
Edge
itch.
didn't see it, or me.
I think he had an itch on his beard.
It was a tap out either way, and Edge, whether he saw it or not, took matters into his own hands. And just a quick note, though, you talked about just three guys in the ring. If you think about it, Roman Reigns had leukemia a year or two ago for the second time. You had Edge and you had Daniel Bryan both, up until the last year or two being told they were never going to wrestle again. So it's kind of cool to kind of see all three of these guys in that Universal title mix right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm looking,
think about it.
I'm looking forward to seeing Daniel Bryan in the kickoff show where he belongs.
Okay.
You don't
think he's in the match?
I would hope not.
I hope not too, just because if Edge is gonna win it over your tribal chief, I think it would look a lot better if it's a just one-on-one match in the ring. You don't have him pinning Daniel Bryan and whatnot. Which wouldn't be surprising as well, because that's what Daniel Bryan did. I mean, not that there was someone in particular he needed to pin, I guess. I don't know, was Batista the champion going into that match when Daniel Bryan had his big moment, but I don't know.
No, he wasn't. I don't think he was. I don't think he was.
But it's just the champion. But then what do they do with Daniel Bryan? Like, does he just not in a match?
He could be in the Andre Battle Royal. That's fine. So he's a good sport. Come on now. He's had a good run. That's enough. It's enough. It's enough with that. All right, we got to talk about other things because we're running out of time, and we don't talk about everything every single week. We have WrestleMania, so I'm going to go down the WrestleMania card that has been updated, and we'll briefly talk about everything or something. We've already talked about some of these matches, so we don't really have to go into too much depth here. But Randy Orton will be facing The Fiend on night 2 of WrestleMania, and it has been confirmed. This will be a one-on-one match. It was not announced as a Firefly Funhouse match, so it looks like we are getting that match. It's a shame. Hopefully they do have a Funhouse match at some point, but because it's with Randy Orton's history, I think they could get very creative with it, especially after listening to the Stone Cold podcast, Broken Skull Sessions. There's definitely some stuff they could delve into, but looks like we're getting a one-on-one match there. Bad Bunny is getting a singles match as well on night 1 against The Miz. I believe John Morrison may be injured, which is the reasoning for him not being involved in a tag team match. So it looks like Damian Priest, unfortunately, is going to have to sit out this Mania unless they use him for like the Battle Royal or something, which I wouldn't be upset at.
I think he'll still be involved in that match. I mean, they're not going to send Bad Bunny out on his own, right? I mean,
no, but it would be nice to see him involved in a match, like an actual match.
Oh,
yeah,
for sure.
But I mean, he'll be involved in some point in the match for sure. We did get another match, of course. Shane McMahon versus Braun Strowman is happening. That has been basically confirmed. Shane did a heel thanks to our thoughts and prayers Sunday night, as we mentioned. He was able to walk again, so that's good without a crutch. Can't wait to see him take that giant down and out for the count. Speaking of the giant making his debut, Omos will be teaming with AJ Styles to take on the New Day for the Raw Tag Team Championships. We got a little fun segment last week on Raw between those 4 guys, and it's great. He mentioned Andre the Giant was his favorite wrestler, despite AJ thinking it was him.
Did he really?
Yeah. So that was great.
And what was that? That was the New Day trying to get get in his head there and try and split them apart. Obviously, it wasn't going to work, but
they had mentioned
they're trying to build a little story there.
They had mentioned that they had no tag team chemistry, so they kept asking AJ questions about, Omos, his favorite flavor of ice cream, and obviously his favorite WWE superstar and all that stuff, which AJ got all wrong. So, but yeah, so that's that. Over on SmackDown side, however, we do have Bianca Belair chasing that SmackDown Women's Championship, as we mentioned. That's been trending on Twitter. It was trending for a little bit. Main event, Banks and Belair. Apparently, people want that for night 1 to main event there.
And that's not like official, right? Because I did see it trending, but I think that's just what they want. That's not like confirmed. Right. And I think it would be. I mean, I think that's what you kind of need. If you're gonna win the Royal Rumble, you got to be in a main event spot. You're gonna have 2 nights. Have one of those be Bianca and Banks, and let the other one be Roman and Edge.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
makes sense, but
confirmed also for night 2. You mentioned Roman Reigns versus Edge. That's going to close out night 2. Okay. And then Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship will be on night 1. So not confirmed. Technically, neither night has confirmed the official main event, but you could assume it'll probably be one of those 3 matches we mentioned.
So did they confirm night 1 for Banks and Belair, or no? Not yet,
the main event slot. It was confirmed for night 1, just not the main event slot. Also for the Raw Women's Championship, the Nightmare, Rhea Ripley, made her debut, and it looks like she's being slid into that Charlotte role because she officially challenged Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship, and it's happening. It's going to happen, I believe, on night 2 as well. So that's going to be night 2 is going to be a really good show. It's already, I mean, both nights are looking really good so far. But I think that's going to be one of the matches that could take it for match of the weekend. Asuka versus Rhea Ripley, first time ever. So
I think so. I mean, it could be a good match for sure. I'm kind of, when I kind of saw that happen live on Raw, and I was kind of wondering, like, is this what they were planning to do? Like what were they going to do with Charlotte if Charlotte was there? Because they mentioned her and they said she's recovering from COVID. They pretty much rolled her out for WrestleMania.
They could always make it a triple threat.
Yeah, you could, but I don't know. I think it works out for Rhea Ripley at least to kind of be in this spot and get in there right away and have an impact. So we'll see.
Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens look like they might be heading into something there. Sami Zayn obviously being, there's a conspiracy against him, obviously. I mean, Jake Paul, I think is Logan Paul on social media has been agreeing with them over on social media. I think he started following him. So, I mean, who knows? We might see Logan Paul at WrestleMania or something. But it looks like we might be getting something with Sami and Kevin. They've kind of been going back and forth the last couple of weeks, as well as we mentioned. Seth Rollins and Cesaro is a potential match there that could be happening. Not confirmed yet. But no, Kevin and Sami have great chemistry. And
they do, but
they're best friends, so why not? I mean, it's an interesting feud. It gives them a match. I'm all for it. I mean,
it does. You can have a DVD or a documentary about it 10 years from now. Sure, that's great. But
I think Sami Zayn's doing his best work right now. So that's just my opinion.
So too.
So I think he should have a match at Mania there. And then I mean the Intercontinental Champion, I would assume Big E versus Apollo, or maybe a multi-man match. I don't know. It looks like they might be building toward a multi-person tag team match for the SmackDown tag team titles, because I think every team got a victory over one another over the last couple of weeks. So it could be Dolph and Rude defending those tag team titles against Chad Gable and Otis. Ray and Dominic Mysterio and the Street Profits. So it could be like a four-way match at some potentially. It looks like they're building toward that. So
that would kick off the show.
That's probably a kickoff show match there. But anyways, we're running out of time here. Next week's episode is going to be stacked. We're going to be talking about NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver. Of course, it's going to be WrestleMania week, so we got to talk about the Hall of Fame, pre-gaming, I guess, the Hall of Fame. We got to talk about WrestleMania, of course. We might talk a few predictions, and everything in between. So until next time, this has been episode 135 of Beyond the Ropes. I'm your host, Ethan. That's James. That's Rob. And this has been absolutely too sweet.
Too sweet. See you boys later.